Thank you all very much. Before we move to agenda item 2, Sarah Sims, the new principal of Connors, is here, and I'd just like Superintendent Finn to do a quick introduction and maybe just give her a moment to say hi to us, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman Kerr. We are so excited to have Sarah, and not to put too much pressure on Sarah, but after my first half-hour meeting that turned into an hour and a half, I was inspired and I was thrilled to have her come join our team. Sarah, the floor is yours.
I can work the machinery. I can figure this out. Thank you so much, and good evening, everybody. I am so excited to finally be here in Maine. It's been 3 weeks. I'm officially at least a new transplanted Mainer. I've got an ID, so that's kind of exciting. And so now my license plates are matching, so people aren't looking at me like I'm crazy when I'm like, I'm following a GPS. But truly, I'm really excited to be here and be part of the community. It has been so welcoming. I've had so many amazing organizations coming into the buildings to talk about the students and the initiatives and to be supportive and how we can work together. And that has just been really joyful for me and moving forward and really starting to plan. The staff started coming in last Monday to set up their rooms. And so the building is all abuzz and excitement. We've got a Twitter page up, which is really exciting. So we're starting to tweet out all the new things, the murals. And so there's just a lot of real huge amounts of excitement going on in the building and around the community and people coming by and just making a lot of plans. And so I'm really excited to see that moving forward. I've had a wonderful, the central office staff has been in talking about ways that we can all be collaborative, the other administrators. And so it's just really joyful to be in those positions and really know that we're working together as a team. And so that's what I love. It's one of the things that I knew I loved about Lewiston from my interview forward. And it's great to see that that is still in place and that we're still working together. So I'm grateful to be here, and I look forward to getting to know all of you more in person. And come by Connors if you haven't already, and come see a tour and see where it's at, because it changes daily as we're still finalizing things. So thank you guys, and I'll see you all soon.
Thank you, Principal Sims. We'll move to agenda item number 2, the consent agenda. Are there any items members want to remove from the consent agenda? Okay. The consent agenda will be adopted. We'll now move to agenda item number 3, public comment. Members of the public may address the school committee for up to 3 minutes on non-agenda items now and on agenda items later. Comments that pertain to staff, personnel matters, or student issues should be directed to the superintendent's office or the appropriate staff member of Lewiston Public Schools. Public comment shall be directed to the school committee and be brief, not repetitive, and related to the matter at hand. Is there anyone who would wish to speak during public comment? If you could, just state your name and what ward you're from.
Ronnie Parody, 82 Prospect Avenue in Lewiston. I came to talk to you about a few things of my concerns. I don't know if some of you know it. I'm also a sub in the Lewiston school system. I work with LRTC nursing program and CNAs, so I do see things that I have some concerns about. I want to talk about communication and policies, and I know that's the school board's agenda is policies. And one of them is cell phones. We need to do something about cell phones with our students and parents, especially at the high school. I worked with CNA students in the clinical area, and they were not supposed to be using their cell phones, and I caught them in the clinical area using cell phones. I did mark them down because I will not tolerate that. But there needs to be more strictness, and what's happening is not nobody, but there's different way it's being followed in high school. It's not even enough, and students are dependent on their cell phones too much. Parents are calling up in the middle of class. And also, when I was subbing as a school nurse at the high school, I would get students coming down and said, my mother's coming to pick me up. They had called their parents during class to come pick them up because they were sick. And they're doing that quite frequently because I talked to a regular school nurse. So something needs to be done about, because I'm concerned about critical thinking. They're using their cell phones and they're not using eye contact, communication. And I'm also finding out that the staff, the upper people are not given, administration is not telling the teachers about policies, or it's not getting to teachers about policies. And communication is not coming down. And I know this for a fact because several people have told me this in the thing. So I think policies are very, very important. The other thing in the high school is the dress code. God, we got to do something. We got to change the dress code. The girls are wearing short shorts to school all the time, especially in warm weather. And I mean, they're way up to here. It's nice at the beach, but we are preparing students to go out to the workplace. And I've been told by admissions people in colleges, they don't know what to do with some of these people that are coming in, these young people coming in for jobs. They're not coming in dressed correctly or interviewing correctly and things like that. I'm really concerned, and I think we need to change the dress code back. We are the adults, and I know that this dress code was done by students, and I have no problem with students being involved, but we need to start taking authority more and more, and we need to support the teachers. The teachers do not dare say anything to the students, especially about dress code, especially male teachers saying something to females, especially in the high school. And I've seen this because I work up there. And it really needs to be communication, again, communication and support and morale for our teachers. The other thing I'm come here to talk about is vaping. We need to do more education with our parents and students about vaping. Students are getting away in the school system with vaping. And they have instruments that nobody thinks about what they're using. They have these collars that they can put and just put, it looks like a collar, and just put up to their mouth. And I don't think parents know about this. I'm your representative from the school as chair of the Lewiston Public Health Committee. And one of our priorities is the marijuana rules and the vaping. Vicki Wigman, who's our substance counselor and director of prevention in the high school, is finding a lot of problems. And we're really concerned about that, and something needs to be done. And we need to get parents involved. We need to go back to parent involvement. Tom can remember we had a parent involvement committee back in the 90s, and we did a lot with the high school and working with the principal at that time. In fact, they even let us, the principal, Rick Seitz at that time, allow us to make policies with the staff. We were even invited as parents to go to staff meetings in the school. We need parent involvement. In fact, I've heard from the teachers, it's not always the students, the parents. It's the parents that are not backing up the teachers and administrators and everything like that. The last thing I'm asking you, and I've asked you before, we need another nurse at Connors School. Please don't wait for that. When I went into Connors School and saw the nurses station, it's beautiful. And then I was talking to Carol Matosa, who's the nurse at Longley and will be coming up to Connors School. It's too much for one nurse. The way that it's built, we got 2 nurses stationed in there and 4 beds, if you haven't been in the Connors nurses. What's going to happen when the nurse is out in the schoolyard with an emergency? We have 3 schoolyards, as you know, at Connors. What's going to happen? She's going to have to go get an administrator to come in and take care of the nurses station, because is the administrator going to be allowed to have time to come in and take care? There's close to 800 students there. You need to think about that. School is large. Also, I'm asking for at least 6 wheelchairs for that school, 1 in each corner and 2 in the thing. We need communication policies. please, please, look at the policies and make them stricter. We are the elders, and we need to help these students. We need to get back critical thinking, and these students are not.
Thank you very much, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4, to receive a presentation of the Superintendent Finns regarding his entry plan.
Thank you, Monique. Before I begin, I'm going to point something out for you. I've got this little magnetic name tag right here, and it has my name on it, and it has this word under it. It says superintendent. And that's very surreal for me. It was surreal to hear Chairman Kerr say, Superintendent Finn, can you lead us in the pledge? It's the first time someone's said that. And I wear this name tag because when I get ready in the morning, I need to remind myself of how lucky I am to be here right now, how humbled I am to be on this team. So please keep that in mind. I think I've earned it, but I'm also going to continue earning this. Tonight, I'd like to present to the community my superintendent's entry and transition plan. I've learned in grad school that you always start with acknowledgments. And her name's not up here, but I want to make sure that I point out Danny Finn, my wonderful wife, who has been supportive and actually was the person that said, hey, you should apply for that job in Lewiston. I want to thank the school committee for having the faith in me to come here and to fill some big shoes, and those shoes of Bill Webster. I also want to thank Mr. Webster, wherever he is on a boat somewhere right now. Mr. Webster let his guard down and allowed me to have access that most folks never get to have, and allowed me to hit the ground running. Bobby Avery, who's not here tonight, can't be with us, but also Karen Paquette. I want to thank my right hand and my left hand. These are two amazing, smart folks who make me better every single day. All of our principals and district leaders, I want to thank you. Thank you for letting me be part of your team. The Dingley building team, especially Sue Turgeon, who's watching us right now from home, for all she does. And teachers and the staff who reached out and took the time to meet with me. Some of them are here tonight. And finally, the city of Lewiston and all the folks in Lewiston and the citizens who've made Danny and I feel like we're at home. We feel like we're home now. It's very important we start with some core values in all that we do and all that I do, all that comes from my office. These are the concepts that come to mind. Collaboration, innovation, integrity, intellectual curiosity, respect, equity, and appreciation of diversity. I can tell you that if an idea comes across the desk and does not reflect one of those core values, we simply are not going to do it. And I will never bring it to the school committee. So for those that have to leave right now, I'll give you the one slide abbreviated version. Everyone else, buckle in. This is all about building trust. A lot of folks have asked about what's the first year look like? How many changes are coming down the pike? And it's funny because I can tell you that nothing happens until we build some trust. There's this gap between what our expectations are and what our experience actually is. And we have a choice to fill that gap in with assuming the worst or believing in the best. And a lot of times that will dictate what kind of year, what kind of month, what kind of day we're going to have. So if nothing else, and you have to leave right now, this year for me, the entry plan is all about building trust. Now, I learned in the South that when you're giving an address, you got to tell folks what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them what you told them. So I can tell you, if you fall asleep, what I'm going to tell you is we're going to discuss this entry process. The Eagle has landed. We'll discuss the pre-entry findings, the things that I've discovered before actually landing. Discuss the transition plan. That's the business of doing school while I'm entering. And we'll begin building that culture of trust. Have I mentioned that yet? That's going to come up a lot. During the entry process, I'm going to collect data. And when I say data, I don't mean ones and zeros. That's part of it. But listening and getting answers is data. Sitting down and looking at the faces of the folks who I represent, that's data. I see that head nod, that's data right there. We're going to spend a lot of time collecting data. After we collect it, it's no good in our back pocket. We have to analyze it, break it down. What does it mean? Then we have to organize it, because then we're going to share it. So we're going to collect, analyze, organize, and share data. And then we're going to assimilate. We are going to adapt, and we're going to apply that data. Sounds like a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but that's what I signed up for. More specifically, this is what I will do. I will introduce those core values that I just spoke about to the public. We are going to launch a series that I'll speak about here in a minute called LPS Listens. We're going to ask questions, and then we're going to listen. We are going to establish positive working relationships with key partners throughout the city. We're going to define and widely communicate entry strategies and timelines to all stakeholders so they know where to be to participate. So we're going to go to the people. LPS Listen series. Will probably take place on Thursday evenings. Different site each week. Presumably some of our schools, all of our schools. There'll be 3 rounds. I am glad Survivor is on Wednesdays, because on Thursday I will be unavailable. That's where we'll collect our information in round 1. In round 2, we will communicate what we collected. And in round 3, we go into workshop mode and we develop potential goals for strategic planning. So some of the questions that I already have asked and may ask in the future: what are you most proud of in Lewiston Public Schools? Folks, there's a lot of pride in Lewiston, and there's a lot of pride in our public schools. And we will do the work so that we begin telling our narrative. We begin talking about the things that I've heard from over 200 people who've told me what they love about Lewiston Public Schools, that sometimes we don't hear out there. When we rely on someone else to tell our story, so oftentimes it's not true. So we'll start telling that story. The second question: what must we absolutely keep doing? The third: what challenges do you see? Fourth question: what ideas do you have for improvement? And the fifth question: how can the district better support two-way dialogue with stakeholders? Wake up, look up, and show up. It sounds like a great way to start your day, doesn't it? I'll tell you, it means a lot more to me than that. Wake up, to me, means you need to own your truth. Wake up. Sometimes it's that wake-up call, isn't it? But when I woke up this morning, I woke up as a superintendent of this amazing school system. But along with that means that every ounce of data that exists, every relationship, every broken relationship, belongs to me now. So I'm woken up to that. And then you need to look up, because you know what we have to do in Lewiston? We got to hold our heads high. You don't get ahead by putting your head down. You hold it up and say, okay, that's my data. I own that. We're going to make it better, though. And we're going to do it together. And then, darn it, you got to show up. You just have to show up. Anyone ever seen the movie Multiplicity? The guy makes a copy of himself. I don't have that technology. However, you will see me everywhere, if only for a brief moment, because that's how we get the truth and that's how we get our data. So I'll attend as many citywide events as possible. You're going to hear about this thing called Fridays with Finn. Fridays with Finn is a well-planned engagement series with each school to take place every Friday from the start of school until dismissal. And it's planned for each Friday. I'm going to ask the principals 2 questions. First of all, show me something that's absolutely awesome. And then we're going to sit down behind closed doors and I'm going to say, tell me something I can help you with. How can we replicate that? Now that times all the schools that we have, mixed in with talking to some kids, shooting some hoops, and have them trace my hand with marker that doesn't come off. That takes some time. But I'll tell you what, I'm so confident that we can do this because I got Karen and I've got Bobby. And because I have Karen and Bobby, I can afford to get into the schools where a superintendent belongs. Respect the principal, because guys, I don't want your job. I've done it for a long time. but I'm there to help. And finally, I'll be regularly present at several events, beginning with Little League, but academics, athletics, and the arts. So now, report back to the community. I will report back to the community what I have learned and how I have made sense of the data. So why do we report back? Because of respect, that's why. Because when I ask folks to come out and give me ideas and listen to them, they stop their day. They had dinner early. They showed up at a place that they normally don't show up. And they gave me that respect. So I'm going to give it to them right back. And when I do, I'm going to ask them, did I get this right? Did I see this accurately? And is this what you told me? Because trust me when I tell you, we're going to do something about it. So we're going to make sure that we're accurate on that. We're going to establish a positive working relationship with all these folks and more. And then comes the big question. How do you balance the natural tension? What's the natural tension? Well, here's the natural tension. You get a first-year superintendent who's never been a superintendent before, who's been a building principal and a basketball coach and a special operator in the U.S. Army with no superintendent experience, coming in saying, here's my entry plan, and yet we still have to run the school system. Here's a guy saying, we need to build for 2020 and beyond, but we have this thing called 2019-20 that's right in front of us, and we have to do that right too. Folks, that's natural tension. But guess what? Tension's a good thing. Ask anyone who walks a tightrope, and they'll tell you that tension's a good thing. I have a lot to learn about Lewiston and Lewiston's rich history, the school system, how we got to where we are, our accomplishments, and also our challenges. I acknowledge that. But I take this responsibility very, very seriously. I also understand the amount and the intensity of work that we need to do. Building for tomorrow while leading in the now, it requires, there's that word again, a trust-based culture. We must make the time to navigate today while building for tomorrow. And I have the committed teammates, many of whom are sitting right here and right here on this board, that I need to get this job done. So, as we transition, as we navigate that natural tension, we have to honor the past, because guess what? A lot of awesome things happened in Lewiston over the past couple of 100 years. In the past few years, notwithstanding, some great things and a lot of hard work's been done. We want to make sure we keep doing the things that are working. But we also have to be courageous enough to challenge the present. Remember we talked about owning our truth? Own it. Let's make it better. And that's how we build for the future. So I'll share with you my pre-entry findings. Before I even talk about these couple of things here, let me say this. We have got some rock star teachers in this district. We have got some principals who are just waiting to innovate. We have too many people who ask for permission to do something awesome, and we need to stop doing that. We have all of the tools that we need to be a premier school district. Folks, I've built them before. I built Hampton High School in Georgia. I founded that school. My name's on the gym, and I'm not even dead yet. But I will tell you, we've got more here. We've got a phenomenal tech center. We have elementary teachers doing morning meeting, and we have folks trying to get those kids across that stage of graduation. So I recognize that we have some great things to work with. In fact, I feel like I'm taking over a playoff team that hasn't made the playoffs in a while. Okay. Here's how we make the playoffs. Every aspect of communication in this district needs to be revisited, as Ronnie spoke about. We can do better because we have to. And when I say communication, not just what we say, but how we say it, how we listen to each other, how we treat each other, how we talk about Lewiston. The last folks that should ever be critical of Lewiston are the folks that make up our city. So we've got to make sure that we communicate. Secondly, collective self-efficacy and self-esteem, otherwise known as morale, has to improve. Now, they're going to publish this dissertation of mine here pretty soon, and so I'll share with you my formula. LS is leadership style combined with a core self-evaluation, how you feel as a teacher, as an educator, times your willingness to go above and beyond organizational citizenship behavior will increase morale if the leadership is correct. If leadership is incorrect, and we don't take the approach that we need, we'll continue seeing folks walk away from our district that shouldn't walk away. I intend to get them back. And I've spoken with other superintendents and said, A, stop stealing my teachers, and B, be ready to give them back. Investing time and energy into building capacity in our leaders at the district and school-based level. We have some selfless principles. Our selfless principles are burning the candle at both ends, making sure that teachers have what they need, making sure their learners have what they need. And yet, my job is to make sure they get what they need. So they're going to get me. We're going to talk about what that looks like soon. I've got a lot to offer and a lot to learn. But I look at them and I watch them and I hear them and I listen to them. And they're asking for a commitment. And that commitment is, we want to get better. We want to improve. We need the resources to do so. And we're going to start that now. If we don't have communication, morale, and skilled leadership that's always getting better because we're investing in that, we can't move forward. But we will. When all's said and done, we're going to create a well-informed strategic plan. So here's the continuity of district leadership. I'm here. In the event that I'm not here, Chief Administrative Officer Avery will assume the role of the superintendent, but I'll always be here. Also, we have Chief Academic Officer Paquette, who's highly capable and will one day run her own district, just not for a while. We're going to employ a collaborative leadership model. Let me pause and let you know that the management style that was utilized to get us to this very point today, July 15, 2019, was necessary. When Bill Webster came here, he came in and brought a style with him that got us to where we need to be. What I can tell you is that right now, we now need to take it to the level of design, creation, through collaborative leadership. So we're going to have focused teams that we're going to talk about. And these focused teams will work individually and collaboratively to plan, to problem solve, to develop new models and structures while evaluating the efficacy of our programming. It's a lot of work. These teams are as follows: the Leadership and Innovative Practice team, the Teaching and Learning team, because that's pretty important, Operations and Logistics team. Without them, nothing can happen. The Coordinated Leadership team, and the Central Office team. So to go over briefly what the Leadership and Innovative Practice team will do, I will lead that team. That's my team this year. I like to lead from not out front, not behind, but with my folks. All building principles will be on the Leadership and Innovative Practices team, as will the Tech Center Director, the Adult Ed Director, our ELL Director, Special Education Director. From time to time, I'll ask team members from different teams to come collaborate with us. And I'll also launch what we call our Next Up group. Next Up, that's the assistant principal development group that doesn't exist right now. And yet I can tell you, we've got some rock stars down there. They're the opening act from our rock star principals. They're really good. Like the time that Poison opened up for Guns N' Roses and no one knew who Poison was, but you found out afterwards. We've got some really good rock stars down there, and I'd really love my chance to develop this group. We're going to continue what's working. Bill started the Aspire group. That's awesome. Let's keep doing that. The Operations Logistics team, led by Bobby Avery, will have business and finance, human resources, and talent development, technology systems, facilities and maintenance, nutrition and transportation, teaching and learning, led by Chief Academic Officer Paquette. We'll have curriculum. That's a beast now. That's basically every subject area that we do: ELA, math, science, social studies, arts, health, PE, computer science, and engineering. Federal programming, instructional coaches, student information system, and state and federal reporting, teacher effectiveness and evaluation. Karen, you still here? She's still here. We will get together on a regular basis as a coordinated leadership team to communicate, share, design, and problem solve. We know that leadership and innovative practice, when you add that to operations and add that to teaching and learning, you've got coordinated collaboration. And research suggests that a collaborative approach has a positive impact on student learning and growth. How can I ask my principals to be collaborative leaders if we're not willing to do it at Dingley? So it'll start here. It'll be awesome. We're going to have a blast doing it. And our principals will one day say, you know what? We want to adopt that model. And I want them to want to adopt that model. Because at the end of the day, it will have a positive impact on student learning and growth. Our central office team, those are folks that work right here. Folks behind the scenes. And guess what? They need a voice too. So they'll have their voice and input so as to improve climate and culture and a very positive visitor experience when they come to central office. When folks come here, I want them to feel like they're part of the family. So that's something that we're going to work on. This celebrates the hard work that is accomplished, often behind the scenes. We're going to talk about rock stars and backbones. Rock stars are folks that are getting it done and everyone sees them on stage. Backbones, those are the roadies. Those are the ones that did something that nobody saw, like the gentleman Tom who set this place up tonight. What an amazing job. And every month, we'll give a small $7 plaque out. That'll go home. That might go on a wall. It might be hung somewhere here in Dingley. But when you recognize your folks, what gets rewarded gets done. I would love to see our principals adopt the rock star and backbone model. So what we can and will do together is we're going to establish high-functioning leadership teams under the direction of very highly skilled leaders that will allow the district to build toward a vision for 2020 and beyond that may include, but are not limited to, what we can begin working on right now. We're going to get a real hard look at professional development. Nobody likes to go to professional development. That does not pertain to them. We want to make sure our folks understand what professional development is all about. Authentic professional learning communities. A closer look at the teacher and leader evaluation system to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and we're getting some feedback out of it so we can all get better. Improved communication. A closer look at the impact of PBL on the Lewiston public school system. We can talk all day long about whether it was a good thing, whether it was a bad thing, but it has had an impact. We're going to find out when we do Lewiston Listens. And when we find that out, then we'll do something about it. Allowing teachers to plan, collaborate, teach, assess, and report, because that's what they're supposed to be doing. When you go to teaching school, I went, we learn how to plan and how to work together, how to inspire people, how to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and how to report that accurately. That's the job of a teacher. We also never stop thinking about solutions. When we budget build, we'll do so with collaboration and transparency in mind. An innovative way to address the alternative school structure and mindset. Going to start a truancy task force at each school and a graduation task force at the high school. Implementation of response to intervention through something that's known as multi-tiered systems of support. We're also going to have a collaborative, inventive, healthy climate and culture in each of our learning communities that includes a focus on personal wellness, work-life balance, because our folks don't take care of themselves the way we need them to have healthy conflict resolution, to realize it's okay to disagree, we can get through that, and improve staff and teacher morale. By the end of this school year, we'll have a well-defined and respected sense of roles and responsibilities district-wide. There's a lot of overlap going on right now. I see that, you see that. We'll be able to say, here's our lanes, we've painted them, let's respect our lanes. We'll get so much more done that way. Increased and improved expectations for student behavior and academic performance. Because if we continue to lower the bar, trust me, our learners will meet that bar. But they want to reach it when you raise it. When the tide rises, so do the boats. We can do better. And there will be, at the end of the year, a 3-year strategic plan submitted to this school committee for your input, and your approval to include a shared vision, only 4 measurable goals, detailed accountability measures, all underscored by student success and equity for all. This is a team-oriented business, school committee, and this is why we need you. And I will make it very clear to everyone who works with me in this district, we need you. We need the school committee to help guide us, advocate for us, and encourage us on our journey for district-wide improvement. We need the school committee to be conduits for the community. So that's how we get feedback. They come and talk to you. We also need to hold ourselves accountable as a school system, because if we don't, somebody else will. We need to be raving fans of what we are and all that we're doing in the process. My commitment to this community and to this school committee is to do my very best to ensure the school committee has the advice they need from an innovative educator while leading our district collaboratively towards continuous system-wide improvement. I believe that we can and we will turn the corner in Lewiston Public Schools. Otherwise, I would not be here right now. To wrap it up, I must be crystal clear when I look you in the eye and I tell you, this is going to be rigorous work. I signed up for this, and you hired me to do this. That means something to me. Champions accept and endure rigor. In fact, we eat it for lunch, and I'm very hungry. A successful entry coupled with a smooth transition for long-term growth and success will require teamwork, and we have the right team. I want to leave you with this, because this isn't true right now, but we're going to make it our truth. Let me read this to you. This is our future why, how, what statement. Everything we do with innovation in mind. We think about school differently so that we can do school differently. We thrive off invention, ingenuity, and calculated risk-taking. We inspire our learners, and our learners inspire us right back. We empower our educators to light minds on fire. Then we empower our students to become active agents in their own learning. We are all over this city. We are right in your backyard. We just happen to be your public school system. Want to come to Lewiston? We can make that statement true. Let's build trust together. Let's build capacity together. And let's build something great together. Thank you for letting me enter and transition. If there's any questions, I'll answer them. You can email them to me. Or you can find me on Twitter at SoupFinLPS. I now have 268 followers.
Thank you, Mr. Finn, Superintendent Finn. Sorry, I'll get used to saying that.
Me too.
That was inspiring for me as the chair of the school committee. I have to tell you, since we hired Superintendent Finn, I've been excited to see what the possibilities for our district are. I've talked with staff and principals, and I sense that same excitement from folks. We did things good before, but I'm really convinced we're going to do things a whole lot better from this point on. So thank you for that. I'll open it up for any comments or questions from the committee, and then I'll shift it over to the public. Mr. Jensen.
No questions, but I wanted to say something. That was a great presentation, and I'm very inspired.
Mr. Shannon.
You know,
I saw your hand raised.
oh, that was a reflex. I'm sorry. But I will say it's an honor to serve with my 4th superintendent in Lewiston. And I expect if we accomplish half of what your goal is for your first contract with us, we will have taken great strides. And we would be in a place where we're much better off than we're beginning at. So thank you very much for your commitment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Gagnon.
I'd say before we even, as we started the hiring process, we built that leadership plan. And a lot of what I heard tonight was much of what we found in that leadership plan. We listened to the community, our school district, our students. We prepared that roadmap. And it sounds like that's become a useful tool as we intended it to be. And it's very nice to hear your presentation tonight and reflect that. So thank you.
Anyone else from the committee? Anyone from the public? Ronnie? If you could, right up to the mic, thank you.
About classroom management, I have a concern about classroom management and teachers knowing and restorative justice. I don't want to be negative about that, but I feel I've seen too much, and I feel that sometimes the students are running the schools and the teachers aren't getting the support they need, and I feel that administrators need more thing in how to classroom manage and disciplinary and not rewarding kids for being bad, and that, and you know, because I saw something at Martell I was really upset with, and when I see a skateboard and a kid that's 6 years old in the middle of the day in that little corridor between the principal's office and the nurse's office, and hear that this child had been up there several times during the year, and they reward him and stuff. I'm really concerned. I think we need to look at whole disciplinary problems. I'm sorry to say that negative, but I think I'm really glad you're here, and I really like your ideas.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ronnie, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing that with me. I can tell you that I have got the utmost confidence in building principals. I'm excited to work with them and also to learn from them because, as I mentioned, they are rock stars. What we need to do is develop the skill to allow them to do what we know they can do. We also have to allow our teachers, as we mentioned before, to plan and to teach, collaborate, and to assess and report. A lot of times, the reason why some of these things take place is because as a community, and I'm guilty of it too, we see something shiny coming down the main turnpike, something coming down from Augusta, and we say, we want to be the first one to jump on that. And guess what? It happens in Atlanta, and it happened in Raleigh too. I just stopped looking at shiny things. You know, what did Taylor Swift say? People throw rocks at things that shine. You know, we need to worry about us. Our teachers have got to be empowered so that they can run their classrooms the way that they know they can run their classrooms. And I will tell you that restorative justice, restorative practice truly works. It truly works if we give the professional development and the commitment, and we listen to the folks who are experts at that, if we give it the opportunity. I've got a great colleague in Los Angeles, the other LA, and he has built an inner city school in Compton and it uses restorative justice. And I'll tell you what, we have a guy right here. We got James. And James is sitting right back there right now. And I've collaborated with both. And my boy out there in LA has got nothing on James. So we're going to hear a lot more of that. But I'll tell you what, we're going to give it a chance to work. We're going to bring it back to the basics and give it a chance to work.
Okay, Ronnie, if you're going to speak, you need to go up to the mic. You need to turn your mic on.
And the students and the teachers not daring saying things. I know many of the people, I don't know a lot of the new ones, but I know a lot of the veteran teachers and having been on the school board, parent involvement, Facilities Committee. For the past 30 years, I've been involved in the school system. And I also would like our veteran teachers to come back, okay? Because I don't think they were rewarded correctly, some of our veteran teachers. And I like to see our veteran teachers be able to be pushed up in administration too, when they want to be. And not too many teachers have left the system that are really, I know personally, that are really good teachers and observe them in the classroom. As a school board member, I went to the classroom. Jay Dufour can tell you, when I was school board member, I observed a whole period of him teaching when he was an educator, excellent teacher he was too. I mean, he's still an excellent educator, but he's in administration. But I'm just telling, you need to go into the classroom as school board and really see what's going on.
Thank you, Ronnie. Anyone else from the public? Jason?
Not much into public speaking. I probably can't beat Mr. Finn here. My name is Jason Lavoie. I'm an ed tech at the middle school. I also live at 149 Oak Street. I was inspired by your presentation, especially the part where you're going to honor the little guy. The little guy is the person that gets recognized the least. And ed techs in this district deserve respect. Ed techs and support staff are some of the hardest workers you have on your team. And I am committed to your goals as a staff member in this district. We may disagree, but I'm willing to accept your challenge to work collaboratively, build trust, and I'm just excited that you're here. I look forward to you visiting the middle school and hopefully my classroom at some point. Maybe we can sit down and have coffee. Do you drink coffee? Extra, Dunkin' Donuts. So I just wanted to thank you for your presentation, and I appreciate your willingness to come to Lewiston. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Anyone else? Darby, I was waiting for it. I knew you'd do it.
Ah, come on.
Thank you very
So
much.
hi, Darby Ray, and I'm a parent and live in Lewiston, and we've met. I also work at the Harvard Center for Community Partnerships at Bates College, and so I just want to say on behalf of a member of the community and a parent and a local employer that we're really excited to have you and Danny here in our community, and that we're just looking forward to the emphasis on partnership and seeing what all of us can do with the schools for our children. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Darby. I noticed that you took notice when he said that the last people in our community that should be talking bad about our community is us. And he was so right. And I think we all need to repeat that message over and over again. All right, anybody else? All right, thank you very much. We'll move to agenda item number 5, which is going to be skipped over. Alicia Ray, the City Council representative, has an excused absence for tonight. Agenda item number 6 is report of the school committee chair, and I just have one quick thing to report that throughout the summer, Superintendent Finn and I will be attending the Summer Film and Fun, where I'll be introducing him at every movie to the public, so it just gives more of the public an opportunity to meet Mr. Finn. So any committee member is welcome to attend those and join me when I introduce Superintendent Finn. We've done one so far, and he was stuck in a class for the second one, so I think we're planning on the third one, which I have no idea what date it is, but it'll be in my calendar and I'll be there. Ms. Roy?
That was my question. When is the next one, and what is fun and film something for the public who doesn't know what that is?
Thank you. And so that's the films and fun that is put on by Lewiston Police Department throughout the summer at different parks in the community. And there are several sponsors that assist Lewiston PD. And if you come, you'll see who all the sponsors are. And thank you for reminding me to do that. All right. And I have nothing else to report. And we'll move to agenda item number 7, report from the school superintendent.
I think I was able to give that report with agenda item 4.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, it's on the agenda, so it wasn't originally it, but it is now.
There it is.
Agenda item number 8, any future agenda items from suggestions from committee members? Mr. Shannon.
Wicked sorry, sir. I think that we need to know that it's either going to be used to a good purpose or that it could be donated to some good group, because I haven't smelled popcorn in this building since I came back on the board in April. And I want you to know that that was a pleasant thing to smell over my many years of service here. So if it hasn't been disposed of, you might think about firing it back up someday.
So I will add, I am probably the one person in the world that can't stand the smell of popcorn, but, but pop away. I'll tolerate that. See, well, I'm not sure what happens in the summertime with this committee. It's like it turns into all fun. But all right, is that it, Mr. Shannon?
I did have one other, if I might. It's good to notice that Mrs. Finn at least has adopted a good football team.
Thank you. What?
It was a deal breaker.
Oh,
Yeah, it's better
I
than
am so glad you're
Cowboys.
converted.
All right, thank you. I had another hand up on this side. Ms. Whitlow?
Yes, so I know a couple months ago we had talked about for future agenda items and then adding maybe another item there saying like events that have taken place that we've been to or want to promote, that type of thing. Can we make sure that gets added on to the list so we don't forget to ask that? And I did want to talk about something, if I may.
Yeah, so explain again, you want an events section for things that are happening within the schools or outside the
so
school?
like things that we've attended at the schools, and we want to talk about what we've done, or things that are coming up, so that people are more aware of it and want to join and be a part of it.
So when I was on the city council, that one of the final agenda items was any issue a city councilor wishes to discuss, basically like that.
Sounds fantastic.
So something like that we'll throw in there. Okay, good, thank you. Ms. Whitlow?
Yes, so, what was I gonna say? Sheesh. Oh, so this Saturday is Lewiston is hosting for the first time the Maine State All-Star Little League Tournament. I am the director of that tournament, and very, very excited. When I heard we were doing it, I was thrilled. I was like, I want people to come to Lewiston. And I'm doing my darndest to make sure that when we have 6 teams that are coming from all over the state of Maine with their families and grandparents and siblings, that we're giving them a reason to get out into the community and eat at our restaurants and go to the trampoline park and do all the things that we love about the city. I don't want people to just stay at the ball field. And I do want to give a shout out to Geiger School, who Cindy Gish is allowing us to use the facilities for a dinner that we're hosting for all of our players and their families. And a shout out to whoever that janitor is who's going to be working and picking up stuff late in the evening. So I really appreciate them putting that effort in. So opening ceremonies is this Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. at Elliott Giroux Field. I know that Superintendent Finn will be there with Mayor Cloutier and Senator Libby, and they will be a part of that ceremony, and Danny will hopefully be joining us as well. So I think it's going to be a fantastic event, and I hope people will partake. It's a week-long event, so in the evenings after work, every night of the week, there's going to be games, so please join us.
How many volunteers do you have helping you put that on?
We need volunteers. There is on the Lewiston softball baseball website, there's a link if anybody wants to volunteer. Snack shack, cleanup, parking, you name it, we need help. Absolutely. I'll talk with you after, okay? That sounds good. Thank you so much.
How much money have you raised?
We always need more money, but I'm very proud to say that in less than 3 weeks, we have raised close to $10,000 for this event. So I'm really proud of everybody who has all the business owners who have really stepped up and are excited about this as much as we are. So you mentioned Little League, and somebody has a connection to that, and their children, their grandchildren, they were a part of it, and they want to be a part of it. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other, Mr. Jensen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know Ms. Parody talked about it earlier, the additional nurse for Connors Elementary. I know we decided during our budget talks to just go with the one nurse for the school and then have an extra nurse for the first month as the adjustment process, transition process goes. I still have some concerns that the one nurse is not going to be enough, so I guess I'm wondering if we can develop any kind of plan for evaluating the needs in that first month when we have two nurses there and come up with a decision, or really a way of evaluating so we can know, like, are we really going to need this second nurse, like definitely for sure, or is it something that, you know, we'll probably be okay without? Just to be able to look at it closely because I still have a lot of concerns about it.
Do we have a count or a more up-to-date number of students for Connors yet?
I'll ask Principal Sims.
It's about 737 this morning.
Wow, so it's 737.
And can anyone recall what Mr. Webster thought it would be at the start of the school year? 7:30. Okay, so we're still within the range at this point. So I think your request is a good one, and I would assume Principal Sims and Superintendent Finn will keep a close eye on it, and if they see an issue, they'll get it to our attention. Is that okay? Okay. Sure.
Did you give some money to at least to have the nurse have some help at the beginning of school?
We did. We have a part-time nurse that's going to be working with the regular nurse at the start of school.
Okay, because we really need, because it's a new school, it's going to be new to everybody.
And I'll
And
add, the reason why we have that part-time nurse is because of you. So, I mean, we thank you for arguing for this passionately.
Yeah, and I'm going to put the nurses need support, and I'm going to talk to the administrators. Please support the nurses because sometimes the nurses do not feel supported. And I just, please. And I'm willing to, if I told Carol Matosta she needed help, I can sub a little bit.
Thank you. Mr. Gagnon, did you have something?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just from what we've heard, I know we recently went over these policies, but you may want to reconsider the dress policy, cell phone policy, and vaping and smoking. I know things change quickly. It might be time to just briefly review that as well among the board.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Whitlow?
I do want to sit down with Principal Langless again. Before the end of the school year, we did go on a tour, and we talked about cell phone policies and dress codes, and we also talked about teacher support on how we can make those policy changes and support the teachers and staff, and making sure that the policies are followed. So I do want to make sure that we look at that before the school year starts, if possible. So that should be something that we do look at.
So that would mean that we'd have to do that in, what's the start of school? How many meetings do we have before the start of school? 3 meetings before the start of school. And one's personnel, so you want to consider that. Yeah. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to give all that a thorough review before the start of school, but.
No, I agree that us as a whole might not be able to. I wouldn't be opposed to meeting with the principal and a couple people who want to collaborate and then come back to the board with some ideas and maybe some more collaboration. I think it is important. I think it's something that teachers have expressed that they have concerns, and I think the principal does too. So
I would encourage maybe go through the superintendent's office if we're going to. Okay. Very good, thank you. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Move.
Second.
Well, now I don't even, I mean, we have moved by Mr. Shannon, seconded by Mr. Gagnon. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.